Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We are here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good and the bad, the concerning and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimi, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and then there's me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, please. And thanks.
Okay, back again with a new episode 110. Happy to be here.
Yep,
It's,
yep.
you know, first day of June, official day of summer is coming soon.
Yes, yes. I'm
So
loving
I
it.
guess before we don't do anything, let's just do our checkup. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I can't complain. I had contemplations earlier this week. Actually,
Contemplations.
yeah, well, contemplations about
Mm-hmm.
certain people and how to deal with them. But
Mm.
yeah, I got through all of that, and the week was pretty good. I can't complain. I'm choosing not to. Again,
That's
this week,
yes,
I'm choosing not
yes.
to.
Another
But
week where Kim
yes,
chooses not
exactly.
to be bothered.
Yeah, no, I'm choosing not to because it helps. It
Yeah.
helps.
Uh,
Yes. So, how was your week?
My week was good, and before I start, it's like even if you want to be bothered, that's okay too.
That is yes, and
But
when I'm
there's
ready.
we when you're ready, yeah. Okay. So yeah, for me, my week was good. It was very intense.
Mhm.
I had
Mhm.
one of my coaching sessions this week, which is my career coach, and I would call them a semi life coach as well.
Mhm.
So a lot to think about, as well as like another all day kind of like professional training thing that just gave me a lot to think about. I'm somebody like you who's like I try to take life as it comes, and
Yeah.
there's pros and cons of that, and so just had a lot to think about this week. But other than that, everything is okay. Also, I don't think I told you this, but I had a family member. I'm going to share a testimony. I had a family member who was very sick, and my cousin actually, and I don't mind. And she was actually on dialysis for a few
Oh
years,
no.
and
Yeah.
anybody who knows, like dialysis is very tough on the body. She's not, you know, that
Mhm.
old where it's completely detrimental, but it's still no matter your age. If you're doing dialysis, it really weakens your body, and so
Right. Mhm.
and that's the process of transmuting the fluids, cleaning out your kidney, is it your kidneys or your liver? I think
I
it's your kidney.
think it's your kidneys. Yeah.
Kidneys, like there's a process of like kind of clearing out the fluids of your kidneys, like medically, instead of it can't naturally do it, so you need medical assistance, and it's something you have to do very regular, so it's very tough no matter your
Right.
age.
Mhm.
And so recently, and it was looking bad a couple years ago. It was really looking not great because she needed a new kidney, and it's hard to
Mhm.
get when you're on the list.
Yeah.
So I found out early this week that she got a transplant. She
Oh, nice.
was able to get a donor, and she literally had two. They called her. She literally had 2 hours to get to the hospital. If
Oh
she didn't get to
my.
the hospital, yeah, that was like damn. Well, I was like, it's like kind of like okay, I get it, but also like damn, like at least give me
Right?
2 hours,
Like I
right?
don't care where I'm at. Bye.
Right.
Like
So
I'm gone.
what if she wasn't in the country?
Oh
Well, maybe she
my.
can't travel. I don't know how it works, but anyway, it just so happens that it worked out. Her daughter came and
Congratulations. That's
took her to the
awesome.
hospital.
Thank the
So she's
Lord God.
in
Yeah.
recovery, yeah, because it's like that's hard to do because normally they do have to rely on a friend or a family member,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's just these waiting lists are so long, and the way they prioritize people, and
That's right. Yeah.
so a miracle in her life as far as I'm concerned. And so
Well,
I'm
glory
thankful.
be to God. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I'm
Lord
thankful
Jesus.
for
Mhm.
her getting that delivery. Her life is always going to change, but I think anything is better. The main thing is she won't have to be doing dialysis anymore, and I think that
Yeah.
is a real breakthrough, and it will improve the quality of her life, I think. So just wanted to share testimony there for listeners. Anybody who's out there
Awesome.
struggling with health issues, or in the same situation, a donor, there is hope. And
Yes,
so
there
yeah.
is. There is.
All
I'm
right,
so glad to
so
hear that. That's good to
me,
hear.
yeah, and basically a very good week, a very revealing week, a very insightful week, and that's always a good thing, right? So we'll jump into headlines since we're doing okay.
Yes. We're here.
And before I jump into headlines, just want to say, listeners, thanks again for tuning in again as usual.
Yes.
We love that you continue to listen. Please continue if you're listening and you haven't like rated the podcast on your preferred listening or streaming platform. Please do add a star, add a comment, anything wherever you are to just get engagement with the podcast.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening. All right, so headlines. All right, so we're gonna start with some questionability. I haven't said that in a while. I used to say this that a lot when I was in my 20s. But anyways, questionable behavior. So Eminem released a new song in this
Yeah.
week
Mhm.
called Houdini. And hey, a lot of people, I don't know why, in today's day, I guess Eminem is kind of polarizing. I don't know why, because even me, I can admit it doesn't matter the race. Like, no
Yeah.
matter where you stack Eminem in your top hip hop artist list, one thing we can't argue is that he was a game changer.
Hundred
And I think
percent.
the minute
Yeah.
you're a game changer, that kind of puts you in an iconic spot. Okay, I'm not going to talk numbers or lists, but I'm just saying the
No.
minute you're a
Yeah.
game changer, there's something, there's obviously something special there. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he released a song called Houdini, and I was just looking at the video before we were recording. I was like, damn, Kim, almost 23 million views already.
Wow.
I
Already?
almost want to know what's a new rap song that's out today, because in one
Right?
day, this is one day, it was the
It's
video came
24
out yesterday.
hours, yo. Calm
24 hours,
down.
almost 23 million views
Calm
on
down.
this song on YouTube. So, ooh,
Wow.
so he's still got
Okay.
that heat. And so the reason why we just brought it up on this episode is there is a controversial lyric referring to Megan Thee Stallion that has been making the blogs, and people feel away. And I'm going to say I feel away, maybe not for the same reasons that other people do, but here I'll just say the main thing. I'll say the overall feeling of the song, theme of the song, is he feels like, he's saying he's back. He's still the one. He's still showing his lyricism and stuff like that. But he's also like talking about society. It's very much sounding like, somebody from an older generation criticizing kind of the newer generation, not hip hop,
Right.
but just general things that he's seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine if you listen to any man based podcast, you'll hear that too. So he's not doing anything that not a lot of other people are doing. So again,
Yeah.
I'm not even
That's
mad at
special.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Mhm.
wish he didn't, because it makes it seem like it gives you the bitter, not bitter, but it gives you just like the stale old man vibe. I think he's better
Right?
than that. That's just what I'm saying. So anyway, referring to the Megan Thee Stallion in the song,
Yeah.
he goes, I'll say the last stanza of the verse. It says,
Mhm.
it would be aspirin to break a feed if I could ask for Megan Thee Stallion if she could collab with me. You guys like my skills? Would I really would I really have a shot at a feat? Okay, that's the thing. Would I have a shot at a feat as in a feature? I don't know, but I'm glad to be back. And then he goes into the chorus. And I was talking to Kim about this, and here's my issue. My main issue, some people are like, oh, why is he talking about Megan? Da, 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 da. And again, like that like he's not a boomer, but he's like an older rapper, kind of coming down on like a younger generation of a rapper. So that's,
Yeah.
and a black woman. Let's not forget that there's an argument there, and there's a little bit of that for me on my side. But my main thing that I'm insulted at is that it was a cheap shot. That was that didn't even
It
need to be
sure
there.
was a cheap shot if you
And I
ask
feel like it was
me.
it was trying to go. It was a way to try and go viral, and technically, I mean, the lyric did go viral. The song clearly went viral too, but that lyric went viral, and I think it did. But it's like clickbait. You know when you talk about
Yeah,
clickbait and stuff.
exactly. And I think that, Eminem is I don't know,
Hmm.
better rapper. He's a better artist than to
Hmm.
do that, but
Hmm.
maybe he wants to draw attention to himself. And I mean, everybody likes Meg right now and she's hot. And so I could understand him attacking someone who's hot. Because if you look through his career, he did that with several
That's
hot,
true. That is true.
talents. So, yes, she's a black woman, but this is not new for Eminem to attack a woman. He
Mm.
did it to Mariah
Hmm.
Carey, he
Yes,
did
he
it
did.
to Christina Aguilera. So, I mean,
Ooh, there's a trend there. You're right. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
so for me, it's like, okay, you're doing the same thing. Then there was his attack on his mom. Then there was
Hmm.
attack on his baby mother, Kim. Like,
Hmm.
he likes to attack women. So that's his thing, right? Like, that's just his stick, they call it, whatever.
Hmm.
I think it kind of cheapens his talent, if
Yeah,
you
I
ask
agree.
me. But I could see why, you know, look, people are talking about it, so it's
Yeah.
working, right? But it's really nothing new. And he's not in my top 5. He's a good
No.
rapper. I'm not going to say that he's not. I'm not going to take his accolades away from him. I'm not going to say
Mm.
that he's not a beast. He's a
Mm.
beast. He is,
Hmm.
but for me, everybody has, differences in what they
Yeah.
feel is, you know, their top or of whatever. And so for me, he's not in my top 5 for rappers. Sorry.
Yeah. No, not a mindy. I don't think he's in anybody's blacks. Anybody who's black, there's not a lot of black people where he would be in their top five.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm
But he was
speaking.
a trendsetter. I will
He
say he was a
was.
trendsetter. He was very rebellious. Like he took
No, you know what I think he owned outside of like if you think about like sorry, white rappers before him, they kind of had to like sometimes maybe it could be authentic to them, but sometimes they kind of have to like put on something that might not be them, or maybe it
like
is them, but
Vanilla
it's
Ice.
yeah, like all this. So there was kind of like a I don't know the word. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I don't know if I 100% inauthenticity, right? And
Yeah.
or unauthenticity. I don't know. Either way,
Yeah, no, I
not
get you.
not authentic. And so before him, or even if they were raised in the hood or urban, it still didn't come off like just still felt like cosplay. I'm just gonna. That's how it felt. That's my
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
But the thing with Eminem was he's like, I'm white trash. I come from a poor family. I have a troubled home and upbringing, and he owned that. And on top of
Yeah.
that, his work, on top of that, he had a very distinct rapping style. On top of being very
Yeah.
talented lyrically, so yeah, so I thought it was a cheap shot. It's below him, but it's out there. It's doing very well, and
Yeah, and
hey,
it's because he here's another man riding the
mm.
back of a black woman. But anyway, no, I'm just saying, like in terms of relevancy, like he hasn't been relevant for a while because he's kind of been on hiatus,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah,
why he's saying that he's coming back. So, what you do to come back? You use
yeah.
a
I
black.
didn't. He didn't need to do that, and I think
He sure
he
didn't, and it looks kind of like
yeah, yeah. I don't really. It's a little bit
And I
icky.
don't think you're gonna get that feature there, Eminem. I
No,
don't think you're gonna get that
that there
feature.
it just went out
So,
the window, I guess. And so, but anyway, yeah. So check out the video. It's fun. It's kind of like a callback to his first
hmm
video with Dre. So I think there's a lot of nostalgia and like people of like our generation or a little bit older or whoever at the time when Eminem was new and hot will probably really appreciate it, and that's probably why it's doing so well. I mean that it's like on fire on YouTube.
right?
So yeah. Anyway, you know what? It's always good to see a talented person still around. And
That is true. Yeah.
one thing I'm going to say before I move on, I prefer blonde Eminem. I'm just going to say it. I prefer
Yeah,
blonde
me
Eminem.
too. Yeah, me too. That
He
that
looks
gave him the
weird.
extra flair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dark hair just looks very strange on him. I think maybe he dyes it so it seems too dark for him. He just looks weird. But that's
Yeah.
just a little small aesthetic thing for me.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. And him getting down back to the darker route. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, kudos to you, Eminem. You have everybody talking about who
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
guess
he
that was the
does.
point. So
Mm.
you
So
achieved it.
All right. So we'll move on to some a troubling article that I saw, excuse me, this week about a group of black passengers who have moved to sue American Airlines
Damn right. Hmm.
because they were thrown off a plane because a false complaint about body odor. And I mean, it's like I didn't even know people can get kicked off the plane for body odor, because I mean, there's
Really.
because
Hmm.
if that's the case,
There's a whole lot of people that need to get kicked
yeah,
off the damn TTC.
right.
I'll tell you that right now. Okay.
TTC planes. I mean, I've been on planes where so it's sounding kind of
Right?
suspicious to me. So the story goes that there was a so the suit alleges that there's blatant and egregious race discrimination when they were removed from the flight. And so the suit says that the men, all five black men, were ejected from a flight from Phoenix to New York earlier this year without any valid reason based on their race. So that's their claim, right? And they said now what happened was, when the men were on the plane, an American Airlines person approached each of them before takeoff and ordered them off the plane, and they complied. Once they reached the jet bridge, the thing where the bridge to, the thing you walk on to get onto the
Hmm.
plane, right? They saw several other black men were also being removed from the plane. In fact, it appeared that they had ordered all the black passengers off of the plane. That's what they says in the complaint.
Probably did.
And the American Airlines people told them that there was a complaint about body odor that had prompted their removal. And none of the men were told they had personally that they had a body odor. So they were told to be removed, but nobody told them it was
It's
because
a
of body.
bunch of bull. It's a
Right?
bunch of bull they're giving people. They have too much black men on a flight and they're feeling anxious. So they need to get rid of some. So they
Hmm.
tell them some nonsense about odor. What?
That's
Listen.
wild.
And here's a joke that I found very peculiar. I could understand if there were other customers that were complaining of their odor and therefore the attendant had to do something, but it
Hmm.
seems as though the attendant took it upon themselves to arbitrarily sniff out
Yes.
all these black men and have
Right?
them escorted off the plane, and I'm not okay with that.
Mm.
Okay, they paid for their flight, and yeah, you should sue because they don't know what that meant to them. They don't know
Yeah.
what you're delaying them from, you know. They could have been going to bury somebody for all you know.
The thing is, this was not a group of people that were friends or family. These are all
See?
separate
Yeah.
individuals who happened to be on the plane. And they didn't see the common denominator till there was a group of them, and they're like, wait a minute,
Right?
all of us are black males. And at the gate, the men were told that a white male flight attendant had made the body odor complaint. So to your point, it was not like there was a passenger or two. There was like a bunch of passengers who went to somebody and said, went to the flight attendants and were complaining. This is coming from one complainant, which was a flight attendant. So they were eventually, after the commotion, they were at the gate and they were asked that they had to reboard the plane because there was no other flight. So they reboarded the plane, and obviously that's embarrassing. It's upsetting and humiliating, and so that's where the
Yes, it
the
sure
suit comes
is.
from. So anyway, that's essentially the story, and I'm just like,
These
what?
airlines are getting out of order. You
It's not
understand what
even
I'm
the
telling you?
airline. It's like it's not even the airline. To that flight attendant, are you okay?
Yeah, but it's the airline that employs these damn fools.
Well, we don't
Because,
know.
well, somebody had to employ the the attendant on the flight.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that it seems as though they just want to fill jobs and they're not actually doing background checks on these people to see if they're, psychologically intact or if they have biases or if they're racist, because this is obviously a racist move.
Yeah.
And what I noticed when I looked at the picture of at least three of the five, I didn't see all five, that
Hmm.
they were dark skinned black men.
Mm.
Okay, and that commonality isn't for no reason. Sorry, I just don't believe it. I just don't understand.
And to be honest, on a real level now, we know our people. We know our
Yeah,
people.
I'm not gonna go on
We
a
don't go
damn
anywhere
flight smelling
fancy
stink.
franzy. Like that's an let's just say it. News and politically correctness aside,
Yeah,
we're not jumping on no plane smelling
NASA,
frownsy.
NASA.
Because you know what? When I first heard the headline, I was thinking, oh, maybe they're from a group of athletes or something, and they came from a tournament and they had to jump on a plane, like assuming that it was a real thing, like a complaint, right?
Yeah.
And then when I heard the story and found out these are all people who did not travel together, they're all individuals who
So
are just
that means
that
the
makes
flight
no sense.
attendant is sniffing through the crowd. Miss me with the bullshit. Like, aren't you supposed to be getting something or putting up something or
Yeah,
making
putting up.
some sort of announcement? How are you able to? How are you? No, for real. Like, how are you able to find all these men on one flight that all have one thing in common, and that's they're black? Like, how come there wasn't? You're telling me there wasn't any other race. There wasn't an Indian guy on there. There wasn't a you know like, come on, man. Like, miss me with the bullshit. I'm sorry. There's no way that the flight attendant is going up and down in the flight to
And
find
smelling
these
people.
men. Like, I think they were targeted.
I agree. It's very
So
and it's just a very odd. It's the most odd thing
yeah,
what
because
caught
they
my
paid their
attention.
money to get onto that flight. So who are like, if they're not doing anything, and they weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't causing commotion. They weren't, a Karen or a Ken on the damn flight.
It almost would
Like,
have been better if there was some type
right?
of commotion. Anything would have been better than body odor. Let me just put it that way. I
And
don't
that's a thing where it's like, how do you know it's that individual that smells that way?
right.
Are you up underneath their armpit? Like, I don't understand. How can you identify in a flight as an attendant who is going up and down aisles? Like, come on, no, that's a target. If I've ever heard of one, that's a target,
Yeah.
right there. They were
So
targeted. Sad but true.
wishing all these men the best of luck. I think they have a
Yes,
case, and so
yes, they sure do.
they even have a clip on their phone talking to another employee of the airline, where the one of the men said it seems like discrimination to me, and she's like, I don't disagree. And
There
I'm
you
hoping
go.
that woman. I hope that woman gets to keep her job because I feel like that's going to be that clip is probably a part of their suit.
Well, they
Mm,
better. They best not. They best
yeah.
not fire
Well,
her
not
for the
after
truth.
this, right? So,
So, you know,
so we'll move on, and I think they have a case. So we'll keep a
100%.
lookout on where that goes. Next, we're going to
Yeah.
talk about Miss Onika Mirage, also
Yes.
affectionately known as Nicki Minaj.
Miss Nikki. I don't know what y'all do. What's happening, Nikki?
What's going on? So Nicki Minaj, it's so funny because I happen to be scrolling on my Instagram when she went live, when she first went live with the thing, right? I didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
it is because I don't watch lives or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was shortly after I noticed that later in the day, all the blogs were showing the footage of her talking to the Amsterdam police. So sorry, I didn't even get into it. So Nikki was arrested in Amsterdam, which led to her not being able to perform in her Manchester concert in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to cancel her Amsterdam flight concert as well. So essentially, she was as she what she was videotaping was these people were arresting her. And she's like, why? You know, she's questioning. She's like, why? Where am I
Mm-hmm.
going? Where are you taking me? You guys checked my bags before at the airport. Why are you now arresting me?
Right? Mm-hmm.
And again, and they're arresting her. They're saying weed, and then legally they're calling it soft drugs, quote unquote soft drugs. That's in their statement.
Which I find so the irony behind that, seeing
Right,
that
we
it's
all that is
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, right? And but I mean it's fine. Like I understand. Like you can't. It's one thing to have weed in Amsterdam. You can't travel in the air anywhere with
Right,
any
right,
drug, right? But my thing is, I just think they needed a better case because where was the weed?
right,
Because they're putting out statements and blah blah blah, but they're not showing. I feel like if they really found something,
right.
they would have been doing a news press because Nikki's
Mm-hmm.
putting them on blast
That's right.
to defend why they arrested her,
Right.
because they're looking very questionable with this statement. So she had to. So in the video, we talked. She talked. They're talking about pre-roll. They said they found pre rolls, and she's just trying to defend herself. So anyway, they came back and said when they reached out to the authorities, said that they arrested her with soft drugs at the airport. And then they said that later they said they changed her statement on the suspicion of exporting soft drugs, and she has been released. So how are you gonna arrest her on the suspicion? You have to. The only reason you should be arresting her is if you have a physical evidence
Right.
that, okay, she on her body or in her personal bags has the weed. Anyway, she has since continued, but it's been a shit show,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
well,
it
since
just.
I saw the clip, when I saw
Mhm.
the clip of her, and it's sad because in America, it feels like if you don't have a cell phone and you don't have a
Does
video
that suck?
camera,
What if?
like
Yeah. What if?
your life could be, you know, it could go left and there's no proof. And so it's good that she decided to resort to that. I find it very, I don't know, there's some details about this that just seems a little off. They did say that, it was a security guard of Nicki
Yes.
Minaj's
Yes. Yeah.
and so on. And that could be true. Or maybe it
Mm.
was Nicki thinking, I'm going to a country that allows marijuana, that is legal. But there's a misunderstanding that you can't fly. You can't go over international waters with any substances. So, like, I could understand, but I'm just glad that she did start filming because I think they kind of took a different direction once they knew
Mm.
that she was live, right?
Mm.
It's sad that she had to cancel her concerts. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think she had one concert and she canceled it, and then she said, "I'm never going back to Amsterdam again."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the she didn't cancel Amsterdam because of this, because
It
she
was
was on her way.
London,
Yeah,
London.
London. But now she's like, yeah, I'm not going to Amsterdam. I have the
No,
people that
I'm not going back there.
he just arrested me like for
Why
not
would I
a.
want to go back there? Like, come on now. What I found interesting was that she wasn't on a private jet.
She wasn't.
Well, isn't this like immigration's like you
Yeah,
like
but
an airport?
even if you're
Or was she on
even
a
if you're
private jet and she
yeah, I
got
think she was
removed
on a
from the jet?
yeah, because they still have to check your stuff, even if it's private. They're still gonna
Right,
get.
that's true.
I don't know
I guess the
how the.
clips that we're seeing is she's at the actual airport, not
Yes, yes,
being
yes.
detained from her jet to, you know what
No,
I mean?
exactly. Yeah, so they
Like
probably have to go
on
through.
ground in the actual airport. But you know
Hmm.
what? I think Nikki, it's good that you did that only because I think they kind of backed off.
Hmm.
But what I find surprising is that why would Nikki's bodyguard have that? Like
Yeah,
I
because
feel
you're.
like it always gets blamed on the bodyguard. I feel like that was Nicki Minaj's spliffs, and she's like, "Listen, after I have this concert right here, okay, I need this spliff right here," and yeah, and then because it got found, it's like, okay, well, one of you security guards are gonna take the hit for me. I just found it very strange that it was just, oh yeah, it's the security guards. It always seems to be the security guards, you know?
Yeah, we know exactly. Like it's true. Like, hey, that's what they get paid the big bucks, right? And
Right?
so to your point. Yeah, it's one of those things where she probably was traveling on a private jet, and they probably are able to. You probably normally get away with these things, but that you're always gonna have. There's always a security. If private jet or public jet,
That's true.
there's some
That's
type of.
true.
But it's probably easier to kind of. The security is probably a little bit more lax with the private.
Right.
I don't know really what the process is, but yes, I agree with you. Regardless, nobody should have. Whether the security guard is holding it for, whether it's the security guard, this is better. You're going to Amsterdam. Y'all could
Right?
get somebody could get
You
something
know what I'm
something for
saying?
you. But anyway, it
Yeah.
crisis averted. She's out.
Yeah.
And I do think they didn't handle it. I think if they found the actual pre rolls on somebody's bag, which definitely wasn't hers, then you deal with that person. You don't arrest her. And I
Right.
think that was my issue with this whole thing. Like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, whether it's for her or not, it wasn't on her. She's not that stupid.
Exactly. Exactly.
So anyway, she's out. She's resumed her
And she's
concert.
not coming back,
She's not
Amsterdam. You
coming
done
back.
messed it up because she ain't coming back. So you're gonna have to find your way to England or something because she ain't coming back. She ain't coming back.
I don't blame her.
No, not at all.
All right. So and then finally, we're gonna get into the Chelsea handler Monique story that we were
Debacle. Yes.
debacle, which was so funny. So we talked about this a while back, everybody, when Monique was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, Club
Mm-hmm.
Shay Shay. She
Mm-hmm.
talked about a story about Kevin Hart in which he had promised her an opportunity, or I don't know, promise or insinuated, whatever it was, an opportunity to work together on a show. And when she finally got herself together to get back
Mm-hmm.
to contact him, he was kind of like pussyfooting and getting his manager to be like, no, like
Yeah, deuces. I
pretty much
lied.
call pretty much call it that without getting into the story, right? And to Monique, she felt like he was a liar, blah blah blah. So that of
Mm-hmm.
course, that interview went viral, and that was one of the bigger, more popular clips when she was talking about Kevin Hart. So fast forward now, and Kevin Hart is getting celebrated with the Mark Twain Artist Prize for American humor. So, which is a very high esteemed honor
Mm-hmm.
to be received as an artist or a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So that many people, and a part of those shows, and they actually aired it on Netflix. And a part of those shows is that all your friends and family and different people come in and share, affection, like share a
Yeah.
little speech, share a little
Mm-hmm.
cute story or whatever they want to do. And it's a comedian, so it's usually kind of wrapped up in a joke.
Right? Yup.
So Chelsea Handler goes up and she shares a story where, or let's put it this way, Monique shares a clip on her Instagram of Chelsea Handler saying that here's how great Kevin is. He said, she asked him for a favor. She wanted a show in Canada because she was trying to get in Canada to see her man. She said, I'll just get you a gig on my movie. And she said, great. Behind the camera, in front, I don't care, I'll do it. And in the routine, she said, that's when I learned if you ask Kevin Hart for a favor, you can always count on always hearing the words "I got you," and the "I got you," right, and then
Uh-huh.
the punchline, she pretty much says something about he lied or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a punchline. Now going back to Monique's story, you could see there's a thread right there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yup.
So the joke is on Monique because Monique put that
The
on her.
entire time.
So Monique posted that clip, that story from Chelsea, and she said, "Hey, my sweet babies, what are the
Oh
odds
god, here we
that
go.
both Chelsea Handler and I would share the same experience with Kevin Hart? But we're both lying, huh? I
No,
love us.
Dafty.
I,
No,
I
no.
love us for real." And everybody on social media was quick to be like, Monique, Monique, it's a joke. The joke is on you.
It's
Monique even
about
get
you. It's on you. Like, how did you not understand this joke? Like,
you're a
you're too
comedian.
busy with being an activist, okay, Monique? Like, you're too busy with being an activist. Which, hey, if that's the direction you want to take, cool. But I think that you've lost your humor. I don't know. Like, how could you not know that was about you?
Yeah, so there was a couple of comments where the people were telling her. So there was one that said, Chelsea, it was mocking you, Mo. You have really lost your sense of humor if you think Chelsea Handler needs Kevin Hart. You really are lost.
Right?
LMAO. It was a joke, ma'am. So there was a lot of jokes. There was a lot of comments in her comments calling out that, essentially to the point what we both said, the joke was a joke on Monique. And even another comedian, D. Ray
You
Davis,
think
said,
this white woman needs Kevin Hart? You think Chelsea Handler, like,
"Yeah,
really and
right,
truly, if you think
Chelsea."
about
Yeah, I know,
Chelsea's,
right?
I'm sorry, she's not that funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen many a white
She's
girls
not
who are a
your.
lot funnier than her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's not. She just knows she has connections. She knows the right people, nepotism, all of the above. But to be quite honest, you really think this white woman needs Kevin Hart's, like,
No, she had like
come
a
on now.
full
It
stint. She
was
was on
fully
TV
about
for
you, Monique.
years.
It was fully about
Mm-hmm.
you. I don't know if you tried to play it off like you didn't think it was about you, but I think you did understand that you were involved because you're trying to say this is you two's experience. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's her experience at all. I think it was Monique and Chelsea was making a joke out of you.
Here's the biggest joke. After a day of all the comments on her posts that she shared, she updates her post and says, "It has come to my attention that the joke is on me, lol." Hey, listen, you mean to tell me,
You're just
Monique,
now seeing that, bro?
you
You're too
mean,
late.
well,
You're too
it's really
late.
bothering me because then I'm like, damn, did Monique really lose her funny? She must have really lost her funny to
Well, how
repost.
could you not see that? That's like kind of obvious. Like even us who are not comedians could see that.
I would have rather her say that, yes, I know it was a joke, than for her to come back and say, "It come to my attention, the joke's on me," to really confirm that you really didn't get the joke.
You know what I've noticed, and I know this is kind of side noted, but
Yeah.
I noticed that Monique she treats the white women comedians vastly different than she
Mm,
does black entertainment.
that's interesting. That's an interesting
I've
thought.
noticed that. Like she's very, I noticed it with Roseanne Barr. I
People
noticed
have.
it with,
Mhm.
what's her name? Chelsea, not Chelsea Handler, the other girl,
Amy Schumer?
Amy Schumer. Like she seems to want to cultivate this kumbaya, we're in it as women in the comedian world. But don't you see that they're mocking you and making fun of you? Like, and if it were somebody else, she'd want to come toe to toe. Like she'd want to rail them up and my sweet babies and all of this shit. Like I'm making a note, an observation. I could
You're
be wrong.
other black comedians have said that about her, so you're not on the
It
wrong
just
track.
seems like it. It seems like she, I don't
I
know,
mean,
wants to
black women
cultivate this
comedians.
kumbaya relationship with these white women in comedy. I don't
Mhm.
get it. But whatever. They're making fun of you and mocking you, Monique. How could you not see that?
Hmm. So anyway, that was she. At least at least she found out. It may have been 24, 48 hours, but she figured it out.
Yeah, somebody had to nudge her.
Yeah, 50,000 comments
Hopefully
later.
her daddy, okay, he nudged her and said, "Honey, honey, honey."
He's probably the one who's like, "Honey, you see this? Post this." Anyway, so yeah, so okay, so that's headlines, and now we're
Yes.
gonna move into our first segment.
Yeah, which we haven't done in quite a while.
Yeah, which is Wagwan for real.
For real.
All right, and so we're gonna talk about Mr. Trump, Mr. Donald Trump,
The convicted felon. Yes.
convicted felon Donald Trump, ex currently a presidential candidate still. So
Like,
he this week he was convicted of 34 counts of falsifying
Jesus.
34 man, all 34 of falsifying documents.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of some of those documents were paper trails of payments to prostitutes and of the such, right?
Yes, and campaign stuff and falsifying
Exactly.
documents there. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
And
so
taking
he,
donations and like donations, something about donations from what I understood. But yeah, 34 counts.
yeah, 44 counts of falsifying documents.
34,
Eh,
34. Mm-hmm.
that's a big number.
It's huge. 34.
So
What are we doing? Like,
it's a white collar crime, and so I don't know if it's going to be like a fine or if he. I don't think he's going to go to jail for it, from what I understand. But the main thing is, here's my problem with this. Okay, fine, he was convicted. He deserved to be convicted. They charged, blah blah blah. And my thing is, I hope nobody thought that this meant anything in terms of him becoming president. Like it seems like there's a lot of joy coming from people who don't support him, or people who are more on the Democrat side. They're like excited, da da da. I mean, it is. Let me not diminish the fact it is a win that he got convicted. Don't get me wrong,
yes, it is. Yes.
because a lot, sometimes you could pull strings and who knows, corruption, blah blah blah. He could have got away too. I wouldn't have been surprised if he got away with it either,
Right?
right? So I am a
Mm.
little bit. It is kind of a win, the fact that he actually got convicted, more or less, all counts that he was charged for in this particular case. I think he has a couple other cases
Hmm.
actually, but this is not all. This has done, unfortunately, is rally his supporters. All this has done has
Disgusting.
given more fervor to people who were going to vote for Trump anyway. And it goes to say, that's kind of my issue with, I'm not American, but if I was American, I probably would be on the Democrat side. That the Democrats are just not doing a good job of campaigning and just getting people on their side, because just focusing on Trump is
No,
just
because
it's a bad idea, because you know what? I told everybody, all it is going to do is reinvigorate and bring his and make his supporters rally behind him even more.
right,
Make sure that they all make sure they're going to make sure their vote is put in November this year.
right,
And in fact, you know what? In one
right.
day, his fundraising records broke a record. In one
Wow.
day, he made 34.8 million
Jeez, on.
in one day for his campaign fundraising.
Doesn't have to
Okay,
put out no more running shoes.
and he
But
broke out. Yeah, he broke a record, and they said there was a large percentage, about 30% of the donations were new.
jeez, on.
So that's just
Oh,
that's. I mean, I already can tell based on the conversations that I'm seeing online and the news, that it was that all this was going to do is rally his supporters. But to see it in numbers,
it's just
this is not like to say it went to 34.8 million. His fundraising campaign made almost 35 million in one day.
oh God. Okay, this is my view. Okay,
Mhm,
first of
mhm.
all, Wagwan for real, America. For real.
Right?
You have this convicted felon and he's still on the ballot? What are we doing? He's still on the ballot. Like, I understand that there are no laws against, him being on the ballot and for people
Mhm,
to vote for him and to for him to actually become president. But your country has been made a mockery of enough. This
mm,
used to be the strongest power in the world. And I'm sorry, you guys are steadily crumbling,
mm.
whatever the influences might be. But listen, if this man gets into power, do you understand that a convicted felon will be the president of the uh, America? The
Mm.
United States of America?
Which is supposed to be the global form of justice. They
I
deemed.
just don't understand what is going on here. I need to understand this more. Like, and you know what? Here's the thing. Be very afraid, the United States, if he does get elected. Be very afraid. Your rights out the window. They're gone. This man is going to be on a personal vendetta against the citizens that did not vote for him.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people are crossing over, like the
Mm, yeah.
34 mil who just helped him with his
No,
campaign.
no, that's dollars. It was 30% of
What?
new supporters.
Right, okay. Sorry,
Mm.
34 mil, whoever contributed to that campaign.
Mhm.
You really don't want to put him back in power. You really don't. And even though you think it's a good idea just jumping over to the other side, because it seems as though that's the way it might be going anyhow, and you don't want to be on that the other end of that sword of revenge, but he will definitely be coming for revenge against
Mm.
a lot of people.
Yep.
And it's sad to see that the politics has taken this route. Like, when I remember growing up and seeing the US politics and even studying it in school, there had an eliteness to it. Like, there had, you know, I don't know, there was a class about it. There was and I don't see that anymore. And to have somebody who is a convicted felon run your country, you're going to be the laughing stock as a country. So I know Sleepy Joe is not the best, but he might have another 4 years good in him. This is why I can see a lot of people in the states don't want to vote, or they just don't know who to vote for, because look at the options. And I
Yeah.
understand that, but vote for somebody else. I don't know who else, but vote for somebody else. Just don't have this man in power. I think as a country, you will look absolutely ridiculous if you have a felon running your country. It
And
is very
a
surprising.
caricature. Yeah. And I was actually listening to I was watching the Breakfast Club, and they had a segment where they're asking Trump supporters
Yes,
the question that
yes.
you want to ask, that you just asked. Like, people are really like, I mean, I already knew, but it's like to hear it, it's actually kind of crazy. Where they expressed why they would still vote for Trump,
Yeah, a lot of them
and
don't really. I listened to a part of it too,
you said,
the
okay.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, nobody, especially the black people, they don't seem to care.
Yeah, and they're kind of looking at, which I hate, is that Trump is trying to relate to the black vote with a lot of, I'm gonna just say ghetto shit.
Yeah,
Like, he saw
but
some of
that's
them
what
at a
he
Chick
thinks
Fil A.
of them.
That's my issue. That's another issue that I'm like, you guys don't see that you're put in a certain class. He thinks that your relatability is all on negative things,
Right.
junk food, and being convicted.
Thank you.
I don't know, the messaging. It's the messaging.
Making running shoes?
Yeah.
Like,
See,
really?
the messaging is looking not looking good to me, and
No.
so
Next thing you know, we're going to see him posted out of the White House with a piece of fried chicken in one hand and a watermelon in another. Like, I'm tired of this type of, you know, stereotypical
mm,
type of thoughts that he might have of black people. Unfortunately, black people are riding with this man. I
mm.
think I want to ask the black population, Wagwan for real, black
Right? That's
population.
another question. Well, Gone for real. Like, you really, is this how you want him to relate to you?
Come on. And if you think that this is relating to you, let him be in power again.
Mm,
Let him be in power again, because guess what? All those stereotypes that he thinks of you, one by one, he's gonna take care of black people in a whole new way. He just needs to make listen, since this man was impeached, since this man his term was over and Biden got elected, he has been out
yeah, he's pissed.
purposely and tactfully going after presidency again. Like I said, when he got elected the first time, he didn't actually think he was going to make it.
Mm. It
I
wasn't.
strongly believe. I don't think
Mm,
he thought he was going to get
no,
in.
I agree. I agree.
But now he's like, oh, this shit ain't hard. This ain't hard. I could run the free world again. That's
Yeah,
no problem.
a lot of ignorant people are gassing him up. And so here's my wagwan for real. My wagwan for real to the Democratic Party,
Please.
because and the Democratic supporters, stop focusing on why Trump is so bad, because the people who are going to vote for him are going to vote for him.
Yeah,
Start focusing on what the Biden administration has done since they came into election.
exactly.
They have done thing. They keep on talking about, we're focusing on Sleepy Joe, we're focusing on, there are some things he hasn't delivered on, but he's also done, accomplished a lot, like lowering, I was looking at a list, lowering the cost of families for lowering, reducing the inflation rates. Okay, he put in an act called the Inflation Reduction Act. He said he started allow for more deportation, so they were losing funds to like help the ICE or whatever their immigration, sorry, I can't remember the name of their immigration thing is, but to support,
ISIS? I think it's
I think it's
ISIS.
ICE. No, not ISIS. I think it's ICE. ISIS is the extremist,
Right, my bad. Mhm.
but whatever it is, it's their immigration organization where, deporting people who need to be deported. So even though they're making it seem like it's his fault that all these refugees are here, he has been funding to have that organization be able to do their job better. He's had the first meaningful gun violence reduction legislation in 30 years. He's written in to continue to protect the marriage of interracial and LGBT in the US, because those were under threat from when
Mhm.
Obama. I mean, interracial, the Loving Act has been in for a while, but that was under threat. I don't know if you remember. He has made executive orders protecting reproductive rights. Remember,
Mhm.
Roe versus Wade has been overturned in a few states. Like that
That's
alone
right.
is a wild. Ending the failed approach to marijuana. There's a lot of things. He's also increased other things for the black community. He's increased funding for HBCUs. He's committed to funding HBCUs. He is committed to helping black owned business. He did sign the Racial Equity Act. So I think that's where stop pushing that Trump is evil, Trump is bad narrative, Democratic Party. Focus on what you have done, because that's what people feel, that Biden has not done what he's supposed to do. He clearly maybe hasn't done everything, but he has done something. And that's what they need to be pushing
But
right now.
but I think Biden has done quite a bit that would directly affect the black
Yeah.
community.
Hmm.
And so this doesn't improve him. Okay, Trump being an example of going to prison or to be convicted of felonies, or that is not helping the black community.
Right?
So I do agree that the Democrats need to focus less on the competition and more on
Yes.
putting themselves in the forefront and what they've
Mm.
done. And a lot of black people unfortunately don't know or see half of those things that you've listed, because they're okay with the clownery from Trump. They're okay with seeing him portray them. And it's so interesting because he portrays black people in such a negative way, yet
Yeah.
they're riding with him full speed. It's almost like they think that there's a commonality between them, the black community, and Trump. There is no commonality.
Mm.
Yes, he's a convicted felon, okay, but so are a lot of other white men and other races as
Exactly.
well.
But
There,
is he in jail?
right? Oh, say this is what I'm saying. So I feel like, unfortunately, these black people who are riding for Trump, they feel as though there's some sort of commonality, and there really isn't. There really is none. Because let me tell you one thing: if Trump had to choose between the black community and himself and his, huge club full of, top white men to help and do business with, he will throw you so far under that bus. He is just using the same tactics that unfortunately a lot of Democrats have used in the
Yeah.
past to lower the black vote, because our votes matter to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything that, history has shown us is that it does matter to vote. Just vote for the right person. Please do not vote because of a shoe or because he's so raw and real. No, he's not. He's a
He's a,
liar. That's why he's
he's
been
a
convicted of
performer.
34 felons.
He's
He's
a
a
clown.
liar. He's a he's very much a liar. He's not a good guy. I don't know. When I heard on the Breakfast Club that nobody's opinion of him actually changed, it was almost like, well, I know a lot of guys that got locked up, and as though there's
Yeah,
some commonality here. There isn't,
because
because he's
you know
not going
what?
to do time.
No, there we go. Like, hello.
I'm just
Well,
saying. So when I'm hearing, on the Breakfast Club that they have these people calling in and they're like, yeah, well, it's all right. I know James and them that was locked up about 20 years. He had two joints on him. He was locked up for about 20 years. So, no, James and them is not the same as Trump and them. Okay, because Trump, this is a white collar crime.
yeah,
Trump,
and you made a good
he's
point.
not even getting a slap on the wrist.
Nope. And you brought up two joints. Listen, Biden is slowly decriminalizing
See?
marijuana. So
Okay.
so you're not so we're moving closer to somebody not getting locked up for something like that.
Right? But what Trump has done is some real like backhanded type of business. But we see this as a businessman way before he was in politics. Like he's somewhat he's what do they call them now? You know, I would say he's a thief. He's a liar. But whatever. Listen, God help America. That's all I gotta say right about now.
Yes, yes.
Because if these are the options, that's all the bloody options America has. Sleepy Joe or the felon, for real. That's all we got. Oh shit. Okay, things are worse than I thought. If this is the options, but you know what? To be quite honest, I'm not an American. We're not American over here. But I will say, whatever you guys do over there, it does affect us here. So I'm hoping that you see past all of the gimmicks that Trump is going on with, and you vote the way that you should. But you know what?
Mm,
In terms of all of that, Trump, nothing going to happen to him. We're going to
mm,
sit on that and see more. But the fact that the man's still on the ballot, Ah Gwan, for
mm.
real. Please and thanks. But we're going to move on from that and we're going to get into the workout.
The workout.
Yes, the workout. This is where we exercise our hearts and our mental fitness and do deep dive discussions on different things that might be affecting us in the culture. And so this workout, we're going to do something a little bit different.
Mhm.
We like to tap into different topics and different things that might come up, not just pop culture or the community or things like that. We like to also focus on things that can help the individual. And so, you know over here, we're very creative people over here. I know we have
Mm.
our 9 to 5s, but we are
Yep.
creative people, and we do try to put our lives into perspective at times. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's what we should do this workout. And so the topic that we are going to discuss is vision boarding and putting your life into perspective. So what does that mean? So we're going to discuss that further as we have the workout today. So I know for myself, I'm a visual learner.
Mm.
And when I see something, I feel like I gravitate to achieving it more. And
Yes.
so for myself, I need to have a visual, an actual visual of what that means to me. Whatever it might be, whether it's my career, whether it's my, family life, my friendships, my coworkers, different opportunities. I like to actually have a visual for my life and what I want to achieve going forward. Now, as a Christian, I will say that I let God lead.
Mm.
It's so hard. It is the hardest thing ever. Listen, I could go through 27 hours of labor, but let me tell you, letting God lead, that's hard. And
Mm.
so I know that He understands my heart. and what I want and what I really desire. And having different ideas put down in a vision that I can actually follow helps me to achieve the goals that I have set out. And God walks with me along that journey, and he opens the doors and he shows me what I need to see. So for me, I want to maybe get you more involved with what you think about vision boarding and putting your life into perspective. What are some things that you might want to talk about regarding that?
Yeah. So yeah, earlier I talked about that. I had a coaching session and this week and was a part of like a just kind of like a work kind of like goal
A
setting
workshop type thing.
workshop. Let's call it a workshop type of thing. And yeah, and a part of that workshop was creating a vision board, and I found it super helpful. To your point,
Mm-hmm.
where it helps to put things into perspectives. Yes, day to day we experience our day to day.
Mm-hmm.
We ask God to, work in our lives and guide our
Mm-hmm.
steps, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
trust in Him. But there's also a lot of power in putting down your life goals on paper. And when I say life, I mean life, not just work, not just
That's
family.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's encompassing everything: your own personal goals, your goals for your family, your goals for your relationship, your goals for your
Yeah.
friendships, everything. And so I think it's something to do to ground. For me, I'll say it's something that helps ground me and move
Mm-hmm.
out of the grind, the daily grind, and remind myself
Mm-hmm.
everything what is important to me, and that can guide all my decisions
That's right. Mm-hmm.
in relation to anybody or anything. And so, and something else that I kind of picked up was that they say that if you write down your goals, whether it's a vision board or if you journal,
Mm-hmm.
you are 42% more likely to achieve them. That's a big
Look at
number.
that. That's a big number. That's almost half.
That's a big number. And something that was actually shared in the session, it's a quote on vision boarding, and of course it came from Miss Oprah, as my mom calls her Oprah, but Oprah Winfrey,
Mm-hmm.
and says, create the highest and grandest, and in relation to thinking of vision boarding, because vision boarding can be cute, as there are some friend groups. I know some friend groups have like a wine night, and they'll just a part of that exercise is to do like work on your vision board,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
cute too. But I think you should have your and maybe the ones that you do in those friend groups socially could kind of be incorporated into your grander one. And again, as Oprah said, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you
Mm-hmm.
become what you believe. And essentially, the number 42% is kind of like saying, is backing, that statement up.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what we're talking about is it could be hard. Again, you could say it could be fun. You're drinking wine with your friends and you're
Yeah.
aspirational. You're going to throw on a lot of great things on there. But is that truly tapping into your core? Let's call
That's
it,
right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel if I was at a wine night doing one, I'd be talking about trips I want to do, clothes I want to buy, people I want to meet, someone I
Yeah,
want
materialistic, very
to, some
surface level.
surface
Because
levels, who I want to
I'm
date,
drinking some wine. I'm not trying to
what I
get
want
too
my
deep.
husband to look like, and what I want my
Right.
room. Do I want to redesign my room to look a certain way? Like those are the things that I think if I were doing a wine night one, that's what I would be focusing on.
Right. Yeah.
But I think what was cool about this workshop is that it really helped me ground myself. So three things that
Mhm.
were really core to the vision board was
Mhm.
gratitude, having gratitude, whatever you're grateful for, intentionality, and then also like how do we accountability was the
That's
last one.
right.
So who can help you make these goals real, because we know it's sometimes first, like I don't know for everybody, but for me, I'm the accountability piece
Right?
is the hard one. But anyway, we don't want to get too thing, but I just thought it was cool, like, vision boarding. So thinking about what your life vision is, and for me,
Mhm.
or what your life mission is. And to me, it's just to be a beacon of love, light, and support for those around me. That is really important to me, as well as, have being satisfied,
Mhm.
or not being I want to use the word just being general. It's very general, but yeah, you're not going to get into everything. Being satisfied in life, whatever that means. So not being in a situation that does not serve
Mhm.
me, whatever
Mhm.
situation that has to be, right? And I
Mhm.
think a core word that, if I the main word that was jumping out at me was being regret free. That's what I think about my, overall kind of mission in life.
Yeah, and since we, initially had decided to put this in this segment, I've been thinking about it myself, and
Mhm.
I think what I aim for the most in life is to be a rock, a
Mm,
rock for a lot of things, for my daughter, for my husband, as a daughter,
mhm,
a rock, like a consistent,
mhm.
something that I think comes naturally to me because of who I am. I'm more of a loyal person. I'm more of a, once you're with me, you can't get rid of me. Okay. Once you're good with me, you can't get rid of me. I'm a very loyal person, and so I
Mhm,
feel like when I have my core, my circle,
mhm,
I want to be a rock to them, like
mm,
somewhere where they know, okay, that's a firm foundation, right?
mhm.
Which at times, sometimes the foundation's a little shaky,
Hey,
a
that's
little
life. Life
shaky.
can get shaky.
It can get shaky sometimes, and so I aspire to be able to ask for help more,
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
because as a black woman, I don't know what it is. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's my West Indian brought up see, and how I was raised by a very strong, independent black woman. I tend to want to not ask and just take care of it. Take
Mhm.
care of it, get it done, you know, and I kind of want to be that rock, so much so that I forget that even the rock gets shaky and even the rock
Yeah.
needs help. And
Mm.
so I aspire to ask for help. And I feel like, now that I age, asking for help is actually a strength.
Yes.
And it takes a strong person to ask for help and accept it. And not
Accepted
just
it.
accept it the way you envision it, accept it how it is being given,
Mm.
right? That's the hard part. If you ask somebody for help and you want it done your way or how you like it, no, you have
Mm.
to ask for help and understand that it might not look the way you want it to, but this is the help that you're getting. And that's okay. Not people who know you know how you are and know how you flex with certain things. And so it's okay to relinquish that and not have to feel like I need to do it. So it's something that I'm working on because it kind of conflicts. It kind of conflicts that I want to be that strong rock, which I think I am, but I think that my strength really comes from asking for help
That
and
is a
accepting it.
that is a very discerning thing that you called out about yourself. And I totally, and I know you, so I know that it's for you to come to that realization
Yeah,
that it brings you more strength. You want to be the rock, so to be a better, a stronger, even better, stronger rock or bigger
that's
rock
right. That's
is
right.
now that this phase in your life is to be okay and comfortable with asking for help and accepting the help. So I love, that's a word. Damn girl, that's a good
Right?
one.
I thought about it. I thought about it long and hard. And I am grateful for those who are willing to help me,
Mhm.
because, I've noticed in life that there's some people who just don't have it.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
just don't have it. They got to be the end all and everything too. Like, they have to be everything. Now, I will say that most of my help comes from God.
Hmm.
So, because I feel like God will put people in my way or in my life that can help me, you
Hmm.
know? And as long as I'm willing to accept it, I'm all gravy, I'm all good. But I think that having vision boards, I wanted to go back to that,
Hmm.
is very fundamental, but don't just throw things on there that are materialistic, because I feel like the whole purpose of a vision board is to really
Yes, I love that word, canvas.
canvas your yourself and who you are inside, and your real aspirations and your real goals and and I'm not saying that having a nice house and having a nice car is not something that you can't envision for yourself, but the whole board can't be about the Lamborghini, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we need to put something else on there, you know what I'm saying? If I were in a wine setting, girl, listen, I'm not trying to think too hard. I'm drinking this wine and this cheese right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? But no, but for real, I do think it is a really good activity that as black women we should open ourselves and our minds to more often. And it does help you put life into perspective, especially intentionality.
Mm.
Cause lots of people walk around this place and they don't have no intention for nada. You understand what
They
I'm telling
talk
you?
a lot of cheap talk.
I, listen, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear, you know, the nonsense. I don't want to hear just chitter chatter for the sake of chitter chattering. There needs to be some substance behind what it is that you're saying, and I feel like when someone is intentional with what they're doing in life, like a man, for instance, in a relationship, that's something everybody kind of has in
Mm.
common. A
Mhm.
man should be going out there with intention. Now, his intention could be different. He could be 19 and just trying to, get off one. That's
Yeah.
his intention, but he needs to be real about it. And he
Mm.
needs to tell his intentions to the person who he's trying to do that with. Or he could be a 40-year-old man whose intention is to find a woman and settle down with her and make a family with her. Well,
Mhm.
going out to the strip joint, I don't know if you're going to find a girl that you want up in the house taking care of your kids and cooking your food and things like that. So be intentional with everything that it is that you're doing. So I know for myself that I try to live by intention, and I try to live by my word. So if I tell you that this is what I'm going to do, it's going to get done. Period. Now I know I understand life is life, right? Things happen. You might not be able to fulfill your word, but your intention should be to fulfill that word. That's at least for me. My intention is to complete what it is that I've told you that I'm going to do. I think that there's lots of ways outside of vision boarding to maybe put your life in perspective. Journaling, you had mentioned that earlier.
Mhm.
I haven't been journaling for a while. And I'm sad about that because it was nice to be able to put my thoughts somewhere,
Yeah.
right? And I do want to get that back and started. So I think that if I did make my own vision board, that would be something, because I think you have to not only digest what it is that's going on in your life, but
Yeah.
once you get past that point, you can see a silver lining
Yeah. Like
and
reflection.
hope, you
Hmm.
know, because sometimes your thoughts can get all jumbled up in your head,
Yep.
right? And so putting them down on paper, like we just heard the statistics, you putting it down on paper, 42%, that's a lot. I don't care what nobody tells me, that's a lot.
Mm.
You're visualizing it, you're actually using words, you're putting words to thought. And I do agree with that. And if there are people out there that need therapy, therapy comes in a lot of different ways.
Mm.
I think we all, especially as black people, in the black community, we kind of look down upon therapy and coaching and like getting help from other people in our lives. Outside of the material stuff, I'm talking about in our lives and the core of who we are, our
Yeah.
mental health and so on. And I think that that's a stigma that as the black population we should really intentionally try to erase, because I think we've gone, there's so much in our history as a black community where we've gone through so much. And I think it's carried on in generations. And sometimes, in order to stop the generational curse, you need to get help
Yeah.
to
And
do
but I
so.
feel But one thing I could say I'm happy about in
Yeah.
today's world, like I feel like our generation and younger, it's not much that much of it's not as much of it's as a stigma. Like we've moved a little bit past that where it's like yeah, you're doing therapy, like that's good. That's like a good
Yeah,
thing.
a lot of people, yeah, I know we have it, because I just think back to, maybe 20 years ago, that would
Mhm.
be like, oh, you're a
Yeah,
kook, you're a quack, you're
yeah,
you're doing all this
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah.
And
Be like, what's wrong with you?
right, like asylum. But anyway,
No.
asylum. Um, but no, I think that as a whole, humanity sees that mental health is not a joke. It's not a joke. It's very real. It's
Mhm.
happening all around us. We just came off of the panini. A lot of people,
Mm.
there's even seasonal depression. Like, for
Yep.
goodness sakes, like, come on, we need help. And that's why I say accepting help sometimes can be hard to do. And, if I could tell anybody out there, I think journaling, start there.
Mm.
And if you can write down your thoughts and read them back to yourself and say, yeah, I need to talk to someone about this. You
Mm.
know, it is a good place to start, and just breaking down some goals that you might have, or aspirations, or just your day-to-day stressors, because life is very stressful right now. And as you can see, I don't know, 2024 is the year of truth.
Mm. So
So
they
yeah, go on.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, no. So they say that's what they're saying.
It's the year of truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. So, you know, AKA Diddy, sometimes the truth hurts. And so getting through those moments is difficult at times. But, I think these are all beautiful ways of helping your life progress, and to have
Yeah.
hope, and to have, you know, faith in a tomorrow. Vision boarding, I am a very visual person, like I said at the
Yeah.
top of this
Mhm.
segment, and I need to see it
Yeah,
now.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say. So you're saying journaling helps you, but in you know how nowadays pen to paper for people is almost a dying art. So I
I
was gonna
know.
say, I was gonna jump in and say like the vision board is an easy way for you to do that because maybe only visually you can start that. Maybe I think there's power in actually writing down your mission and your
Right.
goals and
Yeah.
starting there and then putting the images together. But if
Yeah.
you but maybe you could do it reverse. I think
Right.
there's nothing wrong with doing it reverse. Put the vision, put the images and quotes and
Mhm.
stuff on your board, and then maybe that will help you flesh out those
Right.
goals those goals that you're looking for.
Mhm.
Because just another quote before we move to close is that
Mhm.
you can only control you only have control over three things in your life: the
Mhm.
thoughts you think, the images you visualize, and the actions you take. And that's from Jack Canfield. And that's where I want to leave you with, and that this
Yes.
visualize there's a lot of power in the things that you can have control of. And the vision
Mhm.
board is a vision board is a tool to kind of put that in front of you.
Put it in perspective. And
Mhm.
so, yes, we are going to wrap up here. And we hope that, there are people out here who can take away what they will from what we've discussed in our workout.
Mhm.
We want people to um, take what they will, but understand we mean it with love. And so, this is only one way.
Yeah.
Whatever way works for you might work for you. But this could be a way to start, or
It's a way to
something
start.
to consider. Something to consider at the very least. And so we do hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. So whether you lead with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful. We will talk to y'all real soon. Bye.
Bye.